was greatly disturbed in his mind. At the end of 24 hours he was attacked by a fever and died 3 days afterwards. We performed the usual burial service, and he is at his rest, sewn up in his hammock, with 2 bullets of 36 pounds each at his head and heels off the island of El Giglio. We bring to his widow his sword and cross of honour. It was worthwhile, truly, added the young man, with a melancholy smile, to make war against the English for 10 years, and to die in his bed at last, like everybody else. "Why, you see, Edmond," replied the owner, who appeared more comforted at every moment, "we are all mortal, and the old must make way for the young. If not, why, there would be no promotion. And as you have assured me that the cargo is all safe and sound, Monsieur Morel, take my word for it, and I advise you not to take £1,000 for the profits of the voyage." Then, as they were just passing the round tower, the young man shouted out, "Ready there to lower topsails, foresail, and jib!" The order was executed as promptly as if on board a man-of-war. "Let go, and brail all!" At this last word, all the sails were lowered, and the bark moved almost imperceptibly onwards. "Now, if you will come on board, Monsieur Morel," said Dantes, observing the owner's impatience, "here is your supercargo, Monsieur Danglars, coming out of his cabin, who will furnish you with every particular. As for me, I must look after the anchoring and dress the ship in mourning." The owner did not wait to be twice invited. He seized a rope which Dantes flung to him, and with an activity that would have done credit to a sailor, climbed up the side of the ship, whilst the young man, going to his task, left the conversation to the individual whom he had announced under the name of Danglars, who now came towards the owner. He was a man of 25 or 26 years of age, of unprepossessing countenance, obsequious to his superiors, insolent to his inferiors, and then, besides his position as responsible agent on board, which is always obnoxious to the sailors, he was as much disliked by the crew as Edmond Dantes was beloved by them. "Well, Monsieur Morel," said Danglars, "you have heard of the misfortune that has befallen us?" Yes. Poor Captain Leclerc. He was a brave and an honest man, and a first-rate seaman, grown old between sky and ocean, as should a man charged with the interests of a house so important as that of Morel and Son," replied Danglars. "But," replied the owner, following with his look Dantes, who was watching the anchoring of his vessel, "it seems to me that a sailor needs not to be so old, as you say, Danglars, to understand his business, for our friend Edmond seems to understand it thoroughly, and not to require instruction from anyone." "Yes," said Danglars, casting towards Edmond a look in which a feeling of envy was strongly visible. "Yes, he is young, and youth is invariably self-confident. Scarcely was the captain's breath out of his body than he assumed the command without consulting anyone, and he caused us to lose a day and a half at the Isle of Elba, instead of making for Marseille direct." "As to taking the command of the vessel," replied Morel, "that was his duty as captain's mate. As to losing a day and a half off the Isle of Elba, he was wrong, unless the ship wanted some repair." "The ship was as well as I am, and as I hope you are, Monsieur Morel, and this day and a half was lost from pure whim, for the pleasure of going ashore, and nothing else." "Dantes," said the ship-owner, turning towards the young man, "come this way." "In a moment, sir," answered Dantes, "and I'm with you." Then calling to the crew, he said, "Let go!" The anchor was instantly dropped, and the chain ran rattling through the porthole. Dantes continued at his post, in spite of the presence of the pilot, until this manoeuvre was completed, and then he added, "Lower the pennant half-mast high. Put the ensign in a weft and slope the yards." "You see," said Danglars, "he fancies himself captain already, upon my word." "And so, in fact, he is," said the owner, "except your signature and your partner's, Monsieur Morel." "And why should he not have this?" asked the owner. "He is young, it is true, but he seems to me a thorough seaman and of full experience." A cloud passed over Danglars' brow. "Your pardon, Monsieur Morel," said Dantes, approaching.